Well, hello, friends. Pastor Todd here with the Church Playbook. Would love to see in the chat where you are watching from today. I'm also watching on Facebook. Feel free to comment. We're going to get started here in just a second. All new content today for today's training on my number one secret to getting new guests every Sunday. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. Just want to take a moment and say thank you. I'm so glad that you made time in your day. I know how crazy busy we are. We are the Thursday after Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday, which means a lot of us are just now waking up from our post-church Easter nap. And of course, realize that Sunday comes around every 7 days, whether we like it to or not. But I'm glad that you're here today. And my promise to you is I'm going to show you the 3 reasons why it is harder than ever to get new guests in your church. It is. It's not you. You're not making this up. This isn't just in your head. It really is harder than ever to get new people to walk through the door of your church. But I'm going to explain why that is, and then I'm going to give you my number one secret for how I am getting, by God's grace and a whole lot of grit, new people in the door of our church every single Sunday, and you can too. My name is Todd. I've been a pastor for 30 years. I love building churches and systems and businesses, and I'm turning 50 this year, so I kind of feel like I've been trying to retire from vocational ministry for a few years now, and I keep getting sucked back into it. But that is my wife, Sarah. We just celebrated 28 years of marriage, my son, T3, Todd the third, and then my daughter, Hannah. And then probably the most important question I can answer for you today is why on earth should you even listen to me? And the fact of the matter is, look, I've been doing this for 30 years. So I am not a rookie. This is not my first rodeo. This isn't even my 7th rodeo. Okay. Now I've planted 3 churches. I've worked in a lot more than that. I've had every job in the church that you can have, but I've planted 3 churches. And I planted the first one, I think it was 26, and we grew to 125 from 0 people in my first year. And I shut it down because I thought I was failing. I wish I could go back and slap that kid, but it is true. My second church, we planted in 2011, and that was in San Diego. And that was actually the basis for writing the Church Playbook. But that went from 0 to 900 before COVID. And then when we moved out here to Texas at the end of 2020, we felt like, as a labor of love, the little town that we're in only had 5 churches. One of them shut down. We thought the other one was going to shut down. Another one was going to shut down. And then the couple of churches that were left, we just felt like that community needed more options. So I said, hey, I'm going to get this thing started. I'm going to do this for a year. I'm going to hand it off. And we went from 0 to 250 in 100 days, all by what I'm about to show you. And then when I retired in 2024, I was done. I was traveling the country. I was working with many of you that are watching all around the country. And then I found a little church in my town that no one knows exists. Well, people are starting to know that we exist. And I thought it was abandoned. And in fact, I was going to buy the building so it didn't become an Airbnb, because it's at the end of a residential cul-de-sac, 2 streets off the main road. And so long story short, I found out that there were actually 12 senior citizens that had been there for 22 years. And their biggest fear was that everyone that had a key to this place was going to die. And then the building would just sit there. And so they actually offered me the building on my first breakfast meeting with the pastor and one of the elders. And I said, no, I'm retired. But here I am. I took over January 1st. I've been at the church for not quite 18 months, and not in a rush. They never had live worship before. And so my wife and I led worship for them a little bit, and I would preach occasionally. And then when I was at one of our double initiative churches in Michigan, the pastor here in Texas announced that I was taking over the church, which was not what he and I had talked about. And so you can imagine that my wife and I had some fun conversations about that. Anyway, so I am rehabilitating a 4th church. We just had 74 people on Easter Sunday. Now, context, 18 months ago, 12 people in their 70s and 80s. Last Easter, we had 29 people. 2 Sundays ago on Palm Sunday, we had 37 people. And we're not even like trying, right? And then on Easter Sunday, we had 74. So we doubled between Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday. And of course, those of us that have been around for a while know it's not about getting people to come to Easter, it's about getting them to come back. And so it'll be fun to see who shows up this Sunday, right? Anyway, I'm the founder of the Church Playbook. Wrote the initial version in 2015. It's gone through a couple of editions. It is now in its 3.0 edition, combining that and 2 other books. And then I actually just came out with a new book not even 2 weeks ago called Betrayal. And it is a fictional retelling of how the Church Playbook came to be. And then here it says, in the last couple of years, I've just been, up until January, 100% focused on helping churches double their weekend attendance. Okay. So the fact of the matter is, it is harder than ever to get new people through the door of your church. You're not imagining it. It is a challenge. Your competition will never be another church. It's just not. My church in San Diego was literally next door to another church, and we both grew. And it's just the people that came to our church would never go to that church, and the people that wanted to go to that church would never go to our kind of church. But we both love Jesus. We were both evangelical, Protestant, contemporary churches. And the premise of the church playbook has always been there are at least 200 people within driving distance of your church that would love to go to your church if they just knew that you existed. But listen, we fight tooth and nail for every new person that walks through the door of our church. And truth number one is this: the reason why it's so hard to get people in the doors of your church is because the old methods aren't working. Like you used to. When I was a kid, my dad was in the Navy, and so we moved all over the country. But when he went out to sea, we would go to Tucson, Arizona, and hang out with my grandparents. My grandfather was an elder at our church. They both, grandma and grandpa, sang in the choir. Grandma was the Easter cantata soloist every year. And listen, I remember I was in 7th grade this time that we went and stayed with him, and the pastor was a new guy. I love him, Travis Fullwood. And young guy comes in with all these new ideas. I'm in junior high, and he had this newfangled idea of doing a friend day, and we were going to get 100 people on a Sunday morning. Now, long story short, we did not get 100 people. We got 80 people. I remember it to this day. We got 80 people, and I went home feeling bad that we doubled the size of our church on one Sunday, and it wasn't even Easter. So the way that church and a lot of churches would try to drum up interest in an event or in a holiday service is the phone tree. Olin Mills would come in once a year, or probably once every other year, and would do free family photos for the church. And they would put together a phone directory, and then it was up to the families to buy photo packages from Olin Mills. Well, you get 3 old ladies that would, sweet elderly ladies, to take the phone directory, the photo directory, and they'd split it into thirds, and they'd call everybody in one night at the church to let them know, hey, this is what we're doing on Sunday. And that was the phone tree. Now, some people might call it the gossip ministry, right? The ministry of gossip. But, it doesn't work that way anymore. Direct mail was another big marketing deal 20, 30 years ago. But honestly, now it's a little different these days, but back in the day, USPS would charge you thousands of dollars to send one piece of mail. And I mean, I remember one mailer we did our zip code, and it was between the design of the postcard, the printing of the postcard, and the postage of it was $25,000. and so it's super expensive. Now, the post office is willing to deal these days, and it's still not inexpensive, but you can surgically target neighborhoods that you want to hit. But you guys know what happens. It all goes out on a Tuesday, and it doesn't matter what part of the country you're in. Tuesday is junk mail day. It just is. Tuesday is junk mail day. And so, people will go to the mailbox, and they'll just fold it up, and they'll walk it over to the trash can on their way into the house. And it's like, all of that money you just spent went in the garbage can. Now, again, back in the day, they would say you get a 1 to 2% bump in attendance from a direct mail. Now you're hoping for a 0.01 to 0.02 response. And billboards are my favorite. When we planted Riverview in 2011, I got a smoking deal on a billboard. It wasn't even in our town. It was a neighboring town. It was leaving our town. And they said, we'll give you the nonprofit rate. Normally it's like $5,000 to $6,000 a month. We're going to give it to you for $1,000 a week for 4 weeks. And we had a billboard. Now, on our opening Sunday in 2011, on our opening Sunday, I got up at the end of the service. Hey, everyone, thank you so much for coming to our opening weekend. We're so glad you were able to make it. Would you, on the back of your connection card, write down how you heard about our church? Now, the overwhelming majority of people said, my friend invited me. And there were some people that said, oh, I saw something on social media. Not one person said that they came because they saw a billboard. And so one of the reasons why it's so hard to get new people in the door of our churches these days is because we keep trying to use old methods to get new people. And we have passed the law of diminishing returns a long, long time ago. Now, another reason why it's so hard to get new people in the door these days, truth number 2, the new methods are expensive and confusing. Man, it kills me every Easter and Christmas. I live about an hour south of Dallas. And the week before Easter, churches finally say, "Oh man, we gotta run some ads to get people to our Easter service." And so the pastor will post something on his personal profile, and then he'll click the little blue button at the bottom that says "Boost Post," and all of a sudden they're in Florida, but I'm getting their Easter invite to come to church on Sunday. And they didn't realize that boosting a post is the worst shotgun method of spray and pray in marketing there is. Now, here's another one that kills me, and churches are falling for this left and right. The Google ad grant fallacy. Hey, Google will give you $10,000 a month to promote your church online. Friends, if something sounds too good to be true, it usually is. Now, would I like $10,000 from Google to promote my church every month? I would love that. But here's why it doesn't work. A couple of reasons. Number one, ads are run by an auction. And so it's all about what you're willing to spend on a bid to get your ad out there. Well, you've got people that are spending $5, $10, $25 per ad, per view. And so they're going to beat people that aren't going to spend $15, $20, $25 to get their ad out there. Google will cap your bid spend to about $2. And so when it comes to auction time, okay, you're going to get beat out by the churches that are actually spending their own money on Google ads rather than the Google ad grant. And then the other thing what if there are two churches within driving distance of each other, maybe same zip code, maybe same neighborhood, and they both got the Google ad grant? Then what? Here's what you got to do. If you currently are working with a company that is doing your Google ads grant, here's what I want you to do. I want you to open up Chrome. Okay. I want you to go to incognito mode, and then I want you to type churches near me. Okay. So if you are getting the Google ad grant, you should be at the top of the page. Okay. But if you're not, that means one of two things. One, your bid got capped and someone else beat you out because they're spending more than you are. You never spend the $10,000 a month. Or two, you got two churches in the same area that both got the grant. And now Google is fighting it out with itself. So the old methods aren't working, right? The new methods are expensive and confusing. Number three, here's the third truth, is your congregation has already invited everybody they know. And listen, friends, I get it. We preach about evangelism. We talk about sharing our faith. And don't stop. Please don't stop. We need this part of discipling believers in Jesus Christ is to share the hope within us, right? To be able to give a defense of the hope that is within us. But here's the truth. If you've got 10 people, 20 people, 50 people, I specialize in helping churches under 200, but if you've got less than 200 people in your church, here's what I know for a fact. Your congregation has already invited everybody they know more than once. They just have. Your congregation, if you've got 100 people in your church, you might have 3 true extroverts. And these are people that love to meet new people. And even of the 3, not even all of them have the kind of influence where when new people meet them, they think, oh, I want to be around this person all the time. Most of the people, 90, 95, 97% of your church are introverted. They're not trying to make new friends. They've known Bill at work for 12 years. And Bill has already said, if you invite me to your church one more time, I am done talking to you. And here's the other thing I found out. There are some people your congregation will never invite. Like I talk to people and they're like, man, I would never invite my family to this to church. This is my safe space. This is the only time and place where I can just be me and the Lord. And so there are people they know that they haven't invited that they will never invite. Okay. So look, there's got to be a better way, right? The old playbook, as it were, is broken. The old methods of outreach are dead. The new methods of outreach are confusing and expensive. And your people have already invited everybody they know. And here's what I know about you. You're showing up every Sunday. You're doing your best to be faithful to your calling, and you want to play the long game, but you wonder like, why aren't more people coming and staying at our church? And I just the problem probably isn't you. And by the way, the problem isn't your people either. So let me share with you my number one secret for getting new people in my church every single Sunday. And listen, I've been doing this for years. This is how my church in San Diego went from 0 to 900 before COVID. Okay, when we planted our church here in Joshua, Texas, we went from 0 to 250 in 100 days with what I'm about to tell you. And now I'm rehabilitating a church in the same town. And and I love this little church. To me, it is the modern Little House on the Prairie. And we started with 12 seniors, and they love Jesus, and they're so faithful, and they love each other. But they haven't had a guest in years, right? And so I joined their church. I lead worship for them. I preach on occasion. I became the lead pastor in January as our founding pastor is 73 and is retiring. But as soon as I took over, we started getting new people every single Sunday. Now, listen, sometimes it's an average of every single Sunday. We might get 2 new families on one week and no new families the next week, right? But it averages out to 1 new family a week. And then 2 Sundays ago was Palm Sunday. And I remember, like, man, the room is fuller than normal. I haven't counted attendance in months and months and months and months. I know that we had 29 people last Easter. We had 25 people last Mother's Day. And so I went around, I just did a quick count during worship, and I'm like, we have 37 people. We had a non-holiday record attendance, and we're not even trying hard. And so I looked, and I'm like, you know what? We're gonna have 75 people on Easter. And I mean, we had 74 from what I'm about to show you. Okay. So my number one secret for getting new people is very local. It's very inexpensive. I run meta ads, Facebook, Instagram, that are surgically targeted to my church's location. It is not a spray and pray. I only spend $1 to $3 a day. And the way I structure the ad campaign is it starts with them reaching out to me. It starts with the conversation. It ends with the visit. You do not need a massive budget. You just need a system that puts your church in front of the people that are already looking for what you have to offer. And listen, they want to talk to you, pastor, before they show up to the church. And the way that I structure this ad campaign, it just puts people right in your pocket. Now, let me give you 4 reasons why this works. The first reason is that smaller audiences and smaller budgets always outperform large audiences and large budgets. And the reason for that is that Meta does actually want you to succeed. I talked to so many people this last week that are like, man, I ran Facebook ads. I didn't get 1 new person. And so they get discouraged, and then they're like, I'm never running ads on Facebook again. The thing is, Meta actually does want you to succeed so that you will keep spending money. So they want to put your ad in front of the right people that are already looking for what you have to offer. So smaller beats bigger. Small budgets. Meta will take your limited ad spend to your limited audience and will specifically put your ad in front of the people in that small pool of an audience, the right people who are looking for what you have to offer. So that's the first thing you got to understand. The way that we do this, small beats big. Okay. Another reason why this works is hyper local beats regional. Now, I've been coached by some of the greatest pastors in the late 20th, early 21st century. And a very good friend. He's probably, I call him the smartest pastor no one's ever heard of. But he's like, Todd, you've got to run ads 20 miles away from your church, which made sense when we were running 800 to 900 people. And my church was literally at the off ramp of a freeway. So we didn't start out as a regional church, but we grew into a regional church. But when you have a limited budget and then you spread that budget out 20 miles, your budget gets spent within an hour. Okay. When you target a tighter radius around your church's ads dominate the feed, the Facebook feed of the people that live close enough to visit this Sunday. So hyper local means you're only spending $1 to $3 a day. It goes further and it hits harder. The third reason why this works is because we are going to keep them on the platform. Again, one of the biggest unintentional scams of the 21st century in church with advertising is the plan your visit thing, which we stole from Disney, by the way. Okay. But the idea is we're going to run this big campaign. You got to spend $1,000 a month, and your ads are going to go to these people, and then they're going to click on the ad. It's going to take them to your website. Now, what they don't tell you is you need a full-time staff member to follow up with all of these people, and you need additional software. You need to pay for things like Zapier that go to a CSV spreadsheet that every time you get a new lead, it goes to the spreadsheet, and then you need the staff member to go and get and to call them and to invite them to church. The way I structure the campaign, and the reason why I can only spend $1 to $3 a day instead of $500 to $1,000 a month is because we keep them on the platform. Meta doesn't want people to leave their platform, and so they financially punish you when you do. When you keep them inside of the Meta ecosystem, your cost per lead just plummets. All right. And the fourth reason here, let me go back. First reason why this works: smaller audience, smaller budget always beats larger audience, larger budget. Hyper local always beats regional. Okay. It works because we're going to keep them on the platform, and then it's seamless follow up. When you keep them inside of Meta, you actually get to use their tools that your audience is already used to using, and therefore follow up is frictionless. The lead comes in, it goes straight to you. They've already started a conversation. You respond. So much easier and feels more natural to connect with potential guests when you meet them where they already are. Okay, so the question is, how would you like to get new guests every Sunday without having to invite one person? Okay. I would like that. I'm experiencing that. I would like to show you how to do that. I'd like to introduce the Double Your Church Ads Agency, which is a new service from the Church Playbook universe. I will personally run your ads in your community, surgically targeting the people that are already looking for what your church has to offer, and you're only going to spend $1 to $3 a day on advertisements. Okay, your job, all I need you to do is just log into Facebook once a day to check for new messages, new conversations. Zero tech skills needed on your part. In fact, as soon as you sign up, you will get an email with a very simple checklist on how to get started. My team, me and my team handle everything. And you sign up today, your ads are going to be up and running in the next few days. Okay. Now, when you sign up, okay, you're also going to get the entirety of the Church Playbook Academy. Now, in the past, you'd have to go to thechurchplaybook.com, get my free book, just pay shipping, and then you would get 15 days to try out the academy. There's over $9,000 worth of resources, starting with a step-by-step 90-day growth plan. There's a product called Sermon Select, where there's over 60 sermon series with outlines, transcripts, graphics, and videos. We have a custom year-round children's ministry curriculum, and there are full courses in there. How to get 100 people in the next 100 days. How to break growth barriers at 50, 75, 100, 125, 150. A ton of mini courses on how to plan a big day. What to do when guests arrive. So we'll handle the marketing. You handle the implementation of the Church Playbook system in your church. The other bonus I'm going to give you when you sign up today is immediate access to my elite level coaching group called the Double Your Church Initiative. Okay, I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I'm going to introduce you to a couple of guys that have gone through that program in just a second. Charge $297 a month for this, $3,564 for the year. We meet twice a month. I work with you in the group to implement everything that we're talking about in your church. In fact, we just launched this ads agency a couple weeks ago. We had our first meeting on Tuesday night. It was the best meeting I've had in a long time. We are building community. We are building friendships. We are cheering one another on. Folks are like, hey, I got a new person to come on Sunday. Oh my gosh. Hey, we just got a new lead. I just talked to him today. It was so much fun. And so that's my twice a month elite level coaching with me. Okay. And I'm going to give that to you for free. So when you sign up today, you're going to get all of the Church Playbook Academy, everything that's in there. You're going to get immediate access to the church, to the Double Your Church initiative, which would run you $4,392 over a 12-month period of time. And I'm going to give it to you for free when you join today. And so I want you to get started today. The Double Your Church Ads Agency, it's a 12-month commitment. I'm going to handle all of your ads. They change every month. Very simple to get started. $297 a month plus your ad spend of $1 to $3 a day. If you go to double.thechurchplaybook.com, listen, I have very limited capacity right now to take on a bunch of new clients. I've only got like I would say 4, maybe I could do 5. We're running about 8 or 9 clients right now. So I've only got room for a couple more. But if you go to double.thechurchplaybook.com, get started, fill out the little survey that comes in your email immediately. We're going to get your ads up and running. You're going to get all of the Church Playbook Academy. You're going to get the Double Your Church initiative. Now, let me show you why this is working. My good friend Billy Holden out in Lafayette, Indiana, when we started working together in the Double Your Church initiative, they were right at about 150, maybe a little more. Now they're up over 300. They're working on adding a 3rd service. Okay. My very good friend, Jamie Newstead in Muskegon, Michigan, we helped his church go from 175 to over 400 in just a year. Okay. Last week, and this isn't the actual screenshot, but my friend William Lipscomb out on the East Coast, we just launched his ads last week. And he messaged me the very next day. He's like, dude, I already got a conversation started. Okay. So it is working and it will work for you as well. So my motto is run the play. I coached football for 20 years. This is very, very simple. It doesn't require a lot of legwork on your part. Let's just run the play. $297 a month, $1 to $3 a day in ad spend. Go to double.thechurchplaybook.com. I want to honor your time. I'm so glad that you spent part of your Thursday with me. I'm going to get out of here, but you guys know how to get a hold of me. God bless you, and we'll see you soon.